Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show. I'm your host, Regina Shearer, and I'm so glad that you could join me this evening. And we hope that wherever you are, that you are making the adjustments to what is winter all over the world, but in different ways. And I'm also hopeful that you have been having a good day here in New England. It's been a rainy day, but we need the rain because we've had a summer and a beginning of fall that was pretty dry. Anyway, saying all that to say, I'm just so glad that you could join me this evening for the Winning Women Talk Show. And if you are a regular viewer or listener, as you know, each and every week we try to bring you a different woman, sharing a different story and a different journey to being able to fulfill her passion in doing what she loves to do most. And these stories have varied from woman to woman, the challenges they've faced, the obstacles they've encountered. And I hope that as you've been listening or viewing and hearing those stories, that something you've heard has motivated you, inspired you. And if you're that person who still isn't sure they're doing what they'd love to do, that something you've heard is right now making you say to yourself, if she can do it, so can I. And so throughout the show, I'd like to invite you to join me this evening. And you can do that by contacting me at 781-384-5587. That's the call in number because we'd love to hear your voice and have a conversation with you. 781-384-5587. And if you're a little phone shy, that's okay. You can email me, and that's Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. Well, as I was saying, each and every week, our desire is to present a woman to you who shares her journey and how she overcame the challenges, obstacles, or moved through the path and trajectory to accomplish what fulfills her. And tonight, because there has been so many things going on lately, tonight we do not have our guest. Unfortunately, she is not feeling well, but you do have me. And one of the things I wanted to do was to kind of maybe bring up a few women who were some of the previous or and even first women on this show in its beginning years, because we're in our fourth year now with the Winning Women Talk Show. And I thought I'd share some information about them with you so that if this is your first time in particular viewing or listening to this show, that you might get a sense of the type of women that have been on this show. I can assure you, these are not the um, Oprah Winfrey's. They are not some of the most celebrated people in entertainment or movies and film, not even in politics, but they may be actresses, they may be theatrical people, they may be artists, they may be musically inclined, they may be authors and publishers, and they themselves may be podcasters or people who host shows. So I thought I'd share with you, though, some of the people who have been on the show and share a little bit about some of the things they overcame or that they experienced in moving through the trajectory that got them to the place where they are fulfilled and doing what they're passionate about. So, as I go along and share this information, if you've heard these people or viewed these people on this show and you want to make a comment about it, I look forward to hearing from you. And again, that call in number is 781-384-5587, or you can email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. So, I wanted to start in the very first year, right in the beginning of this show. And one of the guests that I had on, who was just outstanding, and I think they all are outstanding, but this one in particular because she was a younger lady. In June of 2021, the guest that I had on the show her name is Rebecca Splain Sallwasser. And Rebecca is the executive director for the Red Sox Foundation and the executive vice president of social impact for the Boston Red Sox. And in this role, she helps the foundation and others realize the vision, which is to make a difference in the lives of children, families, veterans, and communities in need by providing them with health, educational, and recreational opportunities. So, this is the Red Sox Foundation we're talking about in that role. And in it, she manages key partnerships with organizations and institutions such as Dana Farber, Home Base, and the DeMock Center. And she oversees the foundation's giving strategy, programming, fundraising, and sponsorships. She does capacity building and helps them to sponsor and host other events and projects that help build the brand and strengthen the impact of the foundation in the New England area. Prior to joining the Boston Red Sox, Rebecca was the executive director for Scholar Athletes, and she was the community relations director for the Boston Celtics and the Shamrock Foundation. She was also the executive director of the Charlestown Lacrosse and Learning Center. And prior to that, Rebecca was also a player for the Boston Breakers women's professional soccer team. Yes, and she was extremely good at it. She is a product of the Boston public school system until high school, and she is the fourth of five children in her family, and of mixed descent, Irish and from Barbados and Ireland. And she is not only the product of that. After high school, she was able to be scholarshiped into a prep school. So currently, Rebecca is on the board of directors for the Women's Foundation of Boston and the Pan Mass Challenge. She's still the executive director for the Red Sox Foundation, still the executive vice president of social impact for the Boston Red Sox, but she's also involved in these organizations. She's the founding director of the new Commonwealth Racial Equity and Social Justice Fund, which was launched in 2020, and she currently sits on their advisory board. And she also sits on the National Advisory Council for both Home Base and Dream Big. And although she ended her term as a member of the Board of Trustees for Buckingham, Brown, and Nichols in 2011, she continues to serve on their alumni council. Rebecca was Boston's Woman of Inspiration for WISE, which stands for Women in Sports and Events. And in 2018, she was selected to Boston Business Journal's 40 Under 40 class. And she and her husband were recognized by Boston Magazine as a top 5 power couple. Rebecca was an emerging leader for the Massachusetts Business Alliance for Education in 2013 and was recognized in that same year as one of Boston's future leaders by the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. And as you can see by the positions and the affiliation she holds, she certainly is one of Boston's future leaders. Over $140 million has been given out by the Red Sox Foundation, which she oversees. And for 25 years, Red Sox Scholars, which is a program she's affiliated with and helped launch, that program has given out $10,000 scholarships to 12 Boston Public Schools seventh graders each year. $10,000 scholarships to 12 different Boston Public Schools seventh graders each year for the past 25 years and provides them with academic, professional, and social support for the next 9 years of their life, which is the 5 to 12th grade and the 4 that they'll spend in undergraduate school. And they do that to ensure that these students graduate from college with very little debt and are prepared to enter the workforce. You can tell she's very, very serious about the work she does. She doesn't take it lightly. And when I think of all the work that it takes to just envision projects and events to help build the brand of the Red Sox Foundation and build the image and the impact of the Red Sox Foundation. It just seems to me that that is an enormous, enormous thing to handle. And that's just one part of what she does. Is the Red Sox Foundation. The other part is the social impact for the best Boston Red Sox. So she's busy coordinating a lot of different things. But what I like about what she does, because it speaks volumes to who she is as a person, is that she really wants to make a difference in the lives of children, in the lives of families. And there's so many different things that the Red Sox Foundation do for veterans and for communities. And so providing them with these health, educational, recreational, and just social opportunities is amazing. And I'm grateful to what she does and the partnerships she's created with institutions like Dana-Farber and Home Base and DMOC Center, so that the fundraising and these scholarships and sponsorships and other things have some foundation and have the support that's needed to benefit the lives of these individuals and groups of people. So that's Rebecca. Now, I was very fortunate to actually meet Rebecca Salwasser. She was given an honorary doctorate by Rivier University in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I was in attendance for that and met her. And I can tell you, she's an impressive, committed, vibrant, and enthusiastic person. And she is one of, she was selected for very good reasons because she does love what she does and she loves the Red Sox and her work with the foundation and the team. So that's one of the women who has been a guest on this show. And I just am always amazed when people, if you know anything about sports teams, there's always something going on. You can turn on your news station, no matter where you are in this nation, at least, and somebody's team is somewhere doing something with kids or visiting them in the hospitals or, that Make a Wish Foundation, doing things that help children and families and communities and they're the athletes create organizations and enterprises and even centers for sports and different things to help children. So this kind of work is very, very demanding, and yet she can still be committed to other organizations, the Women's Foundation of Boston. And she does and she's associated with the Pan Mass Challenge, where all these people are bicycling and doing what they can for cancer and raising funds for illnesses, and then doing work with racial equity and social justice. So I applaud Rebecca Salwasser tonight, and I hope that you see or as you've heard me speak about her, that you can see and envision the type of individual that she is. And when she was uh, awarded the Woman of Inspiration for Women in Sports and Events, and Boston Journal's 40 Under 40, you can see why. You can see why she was. She's committed and giving, professional and social, and making a difference. So that's one of the women. And she was one of the first ones. The show started in April, and she came to us in June as one of our first guests on this show. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the many great guests who made the first year of Winning Women such a joy and pleasure to be a part of. There was another woman that year who impressed me as well, and her name and is Gloria Timmons. And I said was on the show, um, not just because that was in 2021, but unfortunately, I was notified yesterday that Gloria passed away. And Gloria Timmons has established herself in so many ways in the state of New Hampshire. She is a retired U.S. Army veteran of 22 years and the founder and community activist. She was the founder of and first president of the Greater Nashua, New Hampshire NAACP, and she was the former commander after she retired from the U.S. Army for Disabled American Veterans Chapter 37 in Nashua. What really strikes me about Gloria Timmons isn't so much that she spent 22 years in the U.S. Army and at a time when it was a very difficult place, one, for a woman to be, and two, for a woman of color to be. But she has made history in the state of New Hampshire because she ran for citywide election as an alderman in large in Nashua, New Hampshire, and became the first African American to win a citywide election on any board in the city of Nashua. So she made history in New Hampshire and in the city of Nashua, New Hampshire. Her background is interesting. She grew up in the projects in Connecticut, and she's one of 12 children and the only one to graduate from high school. And right after high school, she joined the Army, and she was the only African American person in her unit, the only one in her unit in the Army. So naturally, she shared on the show that she experienced racism, sexual harassment, and sexism, but she persisted in spite of all the challenges. She hung in there. She moved up in the ranks over the 22 years, and she became a sergeant as part of a Hawk missile crew and military intelligence. And when she was in that position, she worked for then Lieutenant Colonel Colin Powell. He wasn't general yet, he was lieutenant colonel. And upon leaving the military, Gloria founded and became president, as I said, of the Greater Nashua branch of the NAACP, and also worked as the assistant director for the New Hampshire Department of Employment Security. She served as a member of the executive committee for the Democratic Party for the city of Nashua, and she served on the Board of Education for the city of Nashua, the executive committee of My Brother's Keeper, and on the Nashua Community Conversation on Race and Justice. She loved, no matter how much of a challenge it was, no matter how much of a struggle she experienced, no matter what went on in terms of racism, sexual harassment, sexism, or whatever else, she loved her military experience. She was proud of serving her country, and she was an active supporter for wounded warriors and other organizations connected to disabled American veterans. And like I said, she loved her country, She loved her city of Nashua, and she loved her community. I found her to be very engaging, and I ran across Gloria in many different venues in the state of New Hampshire. She never missed out on being 100% active, and during times of elections, you would find her at the polls, the voting polls. You would find her campaigning if she wasn't running herself for an office, a political office. You and when COVID, showed its ugly head, she was there rallying people together and encouraging them to get vaccinated for COVID. You could find her at different facilities where COVID shots were being given, and she found the time to make sure that people were being able to get what they needed, if it was the vaccine, if it was assistance in other ways. She just showed up. She may not even have been affiliated with the organization, but she was always there as a volunteer, and she was there as a representative of the city of Nashua, a representative of the aldermen in Nashua, or a representative for the veterans, the disabled American veterans in Nashua. She would show up in her role with the NAACP. And even when she was no longer president, she remained active in that organization that she founded. She was just there. My Brother's Keeper was a very important organization for her to help people find the assistance and support, the food, whatever it was they needed. She was there to ensure that they had access and that they had advocacy. So, Gloria Timmons, no longer with us now, but one of the first African American women in her unit, a person of color in her unit. In the Army, when she joined, she moved through that, and regardless, stayed 22 years, was blessed to be a aide to Lieutenant Colonel Colin Powell, and never ever let her love for her country keep her, um, I'll say, apart from her love for the people of the country. And so we'll miss her. We thank her for all that she's done over the many, many years in the Nashua in particular, and in the U.S. Army, but most of all, what she did for 30 something years in the city of Nashua at every level possible. So, apart from being the mayor of the city, right? She just served her community. Thank you, Gloria Timmons. So, listen, I'd love to hear from you. Any thoughts about what you've heard about our first few guests that I've presented to you tonight? Again, we would love to hear from you. And so if you want to reach out and call in or email, the contact number is 781-384-5587, or you can call me, Regina, at RGB Internet Radio. Listen, I'm going to take a quick break for one of our sponsors, but don't go too far. We are going to be right back in just a few seconds.
Do you know how many people are harmed by domestic violence every day? Every minute, 20 people are physically abused by an intimate partner. Do you know what the leading cause of homelessness is for women? Domestic violence. Do you know how domestic violence ends? Through your help. If you know someone who needs help from abuse, please call Portal to Hope at 781-338-7678. Portal to Hope is a survivor-driven team seeking to provide shelter, safety, and a pathway to gaining an abuse-free life. Call Portal to Hope at 781 338 7678. We are here to help.
And I'm back. I'm your host, Regina Shearer, for the Winning Women Talk Show. I've only told you about two people, but I hope you're seeing a common thread, because one of the things that impresses me is the fact that the women who come on this show, and I'm sure if you've been a regular viewer or listener, you would agree, they are women who have given a lot of themselves in the hope that what they're doing will improve someone else's life. And I am always amazed that the actual work, career work they do, takes up a lot of time, and yet they all seem to find time to be engaged in other organizations, directly or indirectly connected to the work that they do, and volunteer as well. And many of these women who have been on the show, they're mothers, they're wives, they're caregivers for parents, and I just am amazed that they can find the time, maintain the energy and enthusiasm. And I guess the best way to describe them is they're driven. They're driven and they're compelled because of their compassion and their concern for their communities and the individuals who live in them. So I want to say this: if you think you know someone who would be a great guest for this program, let me know. You see my email on the contact information. Send something to me. Send me their name, their contact information, a brief description of what they do. And that's Regina at rgbinternetradio.com, because I'd love to be able to get in contact with them and see if this is somebody who we would love to have on this show. There's a lot of nice people and good people and people doing good things. So feel free to let me know, and remember the types of individuals that you've heard on this show and seen on this show and that I'm talking about tonight. That should give you an idea of the types of women we're looking for to be on this show. And I thank you in advance for any recommendations. I want to move on and share with you another woman. In 2022, one of our guests, her name was Deborah Fallon Ramvos. She is the founder and CEO of Portal to Hope. And you're saying, why is that name familiar to me? Well, you just saw a brief video from our sponsor. Portal to Hope is one of the sponsors of this program, but not, I'm not bringing her up because they sponsor this program, but because of the work that is done by Portal to Hope as a result of Deborah Fallon Ramvos starting this organization. Portal to Hope is an award-winning, a nonprofit organization that provides comprehensive services to people whose lives have been impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking crimes. Deb herself is a survivor of violent crime whose case involved the conviction and subsequent deportation of her abuser. She is the oldest of 11 children, and she basically, when she was younger, she followed her father's footsteps by serving as counselor at large for her hometown, which is in Malden, Massachusetts. And that's also where her father, whose footsteps she followed, served as mayor. She's a graduate of Northeastern Regional Police Institute and Suffolk University and studied law at Massachusetts School of Law. She founded Portal to Hope 30 years ago, And Portal to Hope currently serves individuals and families in Everett, Malden, Lynn, Medford, Winthrop, and other neighboring communities on the North Shore of Massachusetts. The facilities offer confidential support for individuals and families, housing, while they are working to find alternative housing support for victims and survivors, job assistance to help them rebuild their lives professionally, professional legal assistance to ensure that they have civil protection, youth programs to break the cycle of violence by developing youth leadership, and educational forums and trainings from professionals as well as survivors. Portal to Hope works with local civic groups, hospitals, law enforcement, religious organizations, and government officials and agencies concerned with ending domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking crimes. And so she is not just doing something that she is compassionate for others about, but she's doing something because of what she herself experienced. And I can tell you, the information I gave you doesn't nearly cover the number of agencies and other organizations that are affiliated with Portal to Hope in order to support the victims and survivors of abuse, and a sexual assault, and some of these are young people from who are, victims of dating violence and stalking crimes and other things. And you when you think about the fact that she herself is a survivor and understands the needs, you can just imagine what types of partnerships she's formed in order to support the individuals who come to Portal to Hope for assistance. I applaud Portal to Hope. I have attended and witnessed and participated in some of their events. They do awards to organizations and agencies that support the Portal to Hope uh, program, and they also award individuals, and it's just amazing. She has volunteers and staff who are there for individuals 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So Portal to Hope is not the only program, but Portal to Hope is a national award winning program. Um, she has been on several shows, television shows in the past, and I'd say at least in the very beginnings over 20, 25 years ago, sharing Portal to Hope. She's traveled to other cities to talk to them about how to set up a Portal to Hope or something similar in their cities. And so, and her work with police departments is one of the first in addressing these types of problems that Portal to Hope encounters from the victims who come to them and the survivors. What a wonderful thing. And especially in this day and time when we are dealing with so many um, incidents of violence that is a result of mental illness or drug addiction, um, or some other element in lifestyle that causes people to feel destitute and desperate, to a point that they redirect their disappointment and anger onto individuals who are members of their family or um, closely related or in living distance from them. So we applaud Portal to Hope, the agency itself, but we applaud Deb Fallon Ramvos for founding such a major institution 30 years ago to address this type of thing. I again, I hope that the telephone lines are working, and if not, I know that my email is working. And thank you, whoever sent this in. Um, I don't know if you know it because, but this month is October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so if you know of anyone and you're in New England area, you can feel free to look up Portal to Hope and contact Portal to Hope, because even though you may not be in their area directly or anything, they will be able to direct you to a Portal to Hope type of organization to assist in any concerns or with any individuals or families that you're concerned about. The question that I had was, how many women have been in from the military have been on your show? How many women from the military have been on your show? Well, I'll tell you, I can think offhand of at least 10 women that shared their military experiences. Many of them were not just doing the stint of 4 years, 5 or 6 years, but did long terms, maybe 10, 15, 20 years. So at least 10 women who have been on the show have been career military. So I hope that answers your question. And all of them doing something different. No two women doing the same things. It's an amazing thing how we are all created differently in terms of what drives us, what motivates us, and what stimulates us. Thank you for sending that question. In At the end of October of 2022, I had a young lady on who was the first African American to become who was a shareholder with a law firm in New England. Her name was Talisha St. Mark. She was African American. She is African American. And she was a shareholder with Bernstein Schurz Labor and Employment and Litigation and Dispute Practice Groups. And she actually served as a co chair there. And she became one of the primary legal employment and litigation people in the state of New Hampshire. People would seek her out if they had any kinds of issues in that area. And the reason I'm being a little hesitant is because she was the first African American in that organization, and the first one to serve as a co-chair, and the first one to become a shareholder with Bernstein Schurz law practice. But in 2023, she became the first African American to become a U.S. magistrate judge in the state of New Hampshire. She serves on the federal bench as a United States magistrate judge, and I had her on the show in October of 22, and on October of 2023 she had her consequential investiture ceremony at the Warren B. Redmond Courthouse in Concord, New Hampshire, the capital of New Hampshire, for those of you who don't live up in this neck of the woods. Talisha St. Mark is a New Hampshire native. She received her undergraduate degree in political science from Franklin Pierce University in 2006. So if you're doing the math, you can already see she's not that old. And she got her Juris Doctorate from Northeastern University School of Law in 2009. So 14 years later, she became U.S. magistrate judge. Upon graduation, she clerked at the Superior Court as well as the New Hampshire Supreme Court, and she did that under one of the most distinguished legal people in the state, Justice Carol Ann Conboy. In 2012, she began her practice for labor and employment law at Bernstein Shore, and she worked there until her judicial appointment in 2023. So she spent 11 years in law practice before becoming a U.S. magistrate judge. She's also a Rivier University Board of Trustees member, and in 2018, she was named the Super Lawyers Rising Star for Employment Litigation and Defense. And in 2019, she was selected as one of the New Hampshire Union Leaders 40 Under 40 awardees. Talisha is an active participant in her community, a graduate of the New Hampshire Black Attorneys Leadership Academy, and the current chair of the New Hampshire Black Attorneys Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee. And she's served on many other committees. And she's also been involved in many other organizations, including the New Hampshire Women's Bar Association, New Hampshire Legal Assistance, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Greater Nashua, the Bishop Estee and Ida Newman Scholarship Fund, the American Heart Association, and the Circle Program. So it all goes back to what I said. She is a mother and a wife, and she has the ability to be a magistrate judge, a U.S. magistrate judge. She is involved with several other organizations as a board member, and she's active in her community, and she's involved in organizations related to her field of law, as well as things that benefit families and children, like Big Brothers Big Sisters and the American Heart Association, the Circle Program. So again, these characteristics, these traits that these winning women possess, to there has to be this special something in them that motivates them and drives them and propels them forward to do these incredible things that not only fulfill them, but make huge differences in the lives of other people. In 2023, I also had someone on. Her name was Sue Jun. Sue Jun. She is the principal and founder of Diversity at Workplace Consulting Group. She works with organizations to diversify their workforce and create an inclusive, equitable work environment. And she does this through consulting and through training. And she organized this not because DEI is and has been an upcoming and growing um, add-on to workplace environment, um, promoting a better workplace environment, but because she wants people to understand the benefits that the organizations can obtain when they appreciate the diversity of their work staff. Prior to this role, she was the vice president of talent, diversity, and inclusion at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts. So when she was there, she led the company's diversity, inclusion, talent acquisition, performance management, and leadership development, and all the associate engagement teams. Her overall business expertise has allowed her to have leadership roles in operations, marketing, sales, call centers, and marketing strategies. Sue received her MBA from Suffolk University, where she also teaches as an adjunct professor. She earned her master's in nonprofit management from Northeastern University. And she is a major sought out presenter for many big companies, universities, IT organizations, and legal associations. In her teaching career, she's taught global human resources, organizational behavior, career launch at Suffolk University, and she's presented to various audiences, such as the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, CFO Roundtable, UMass Center for Collaborative Leadership, Hub Week, General Assembly, Skillsoft conferences, and the Boston Bar Association. She is enthusiastic. I've seen TED Talks by her, and she is compelling and persuasive. But what's most, I guess, admirable about her, what's most admirable is that when you talk with her enthusiasm spills over. She believes in what she does. She believes in the value of what she does. And I can only imagine that anyone, any organization or institution or business that calls her in to consult with them or to talk with them about the possibility of consulting or training their staff, they have to when she leaves, I can only imagine that they've already decided she's the one we want. Her approach is different, her assessments are different, and the outcomes are what her clients expect and seek. She knows what she's doing, and and it's really marvelous to me because, as you can tell from the name, she she is an Asian uh, woman, but she knows New England. She knows New Englanders, and she's made her mark in this region. But she travels all over the world doing what she knows, and that is diversity at workplace. And and I love the name of her company because it's diversity with the ampersand, the at sign for like you use in your email, diversity at Workplace Consulting Group. And so she didn't say diversity in the workplace. She's saying diversity at the workplace. I love the fact that she's made it specific because in can be a little pocket here or there, but at means wherever you go. So, but she impressed me, and I am looking forward to having her back on the show in the near future. And lastly, I want to talk about someone else who was on the show, and her name is Freddie Kay. And Freddie Kay is an attorney and advocate for women's rights and voting rights. Freddie is the founder and president of Suffrage 100 Mass, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan coalition that has over 200 partners, which commemorates the history and relevance today of women obtaining the vote with the 19th Amendment in 1920 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and more. So, this coalition, this Suffrage 100 Mass, has now become the Massachusetts Women's History Center. That took a lot of work. And it provides an online resource of information, education, and advocacy to engage the public about and in the fight for equitable rights of all women and marginalized populations in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, historically and today. And so the Massachusetts Women's History Center utilizes education, the arts, events, conventions, and other tools and celebrations and programming to inspire greater civic participation so that they can help to secure equality and equity for everyone. Freddie serves as the Massachusetts representative on the National Votes for Women Trail Committee of the National Collaborative of Women's History Sites. So she's the Massachusetts representative in that national organization. She's a graduate of Georgetown University Law Center, the Harvard Kennedy School, and the University of Maryland. And she's also in leadership positions with a number of other organizations, which includes the Advisory Network of the Girl Scouts of Eastern Mass, the Jewish Community Relations Council of Greater Boston Community Council, and the Greater Boston section of the National Council of Negro Women. Freddie began her legal career at Goodwin Procter, LLP, after which she served as deputy legal counsel to Governor Michael Dukakis and Governor William Weld of Massachusetts, and was then appointed to director of the Massachusetts Office of Dispute Resolution for 7 years. So Freddie has had her hands in politics, in law, and in community engagement, and in women's rights for a long, long time. And you can tell by the diversity of the organizations she's affiliated with outside of women's rights: the Girl Scouts of Eastern Mass, the Jewish Community Relations Council, the Greater Boston chapter or section of the National Council of Negro Women, that she is a person who respects diversity and wants to be engaged, especially when it comes to her being able to identify and maybe promote things about women of other ethnicities and or religiosity or whatever that she can include in the Women's History Center of Massachusetts. But I found her to be um, amazing. And Ida B. Wells is one of her sheroes, if you will. And she can talk about her all day long. But Freddie herself, again, is one of these women. She volunteers, she gives her time, she commits herself, and whatever she commits herself to, she is going to follow through on that. I don't know, again, how these women can find all the time and energy to do so many things when the primary thing that they're enthusiastic about is so time consuming. And yet they find a way to go out and support and advocate and volunteer with organizations to make differences in other people's lives, regardless of what their target group might be. And so, whew, that's a lot. I've brought up a few women because I wanted you to get a sense of the types of women who are on this show, the types of things they're talking about and that they're engaged in, and why that makes them winning women. I don't know how you feel about it, but just knowing these women. They're women that are in the grocery line with you. They're women who may be standing at the bus stop with you in the morning or riding the subway with you. They're women that you see here and there in as you're shopping, as you're in the doctor's office or whatever, and no one has a clue, perhaps, that this woman is doing incredible things in incredible ways, that it requires incredible amounts of time, and looks so happy and is so content in what she does. That's a winning woman. And so, again, I encourage you, if you know of somebody that you think should be on this show, I challenge you, contact me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. That's pretty easy. It's just my name, Regina, at rgbinternetradio.com, because that's how you're seeing this show tonight. You're looking at it on YouTube on RGB Internet Radio Live, or on Facebook, RGB Internet Radio Live, and or listening on the app RGB Internet Radio. And so I thank you and for spending time with us this evening. I thank you for listening to me rattle on and on about these fantastic women who have been on the show. And there's so much more. I wish I could tell you about them all, but there's way too many over 4 years, one every week, to talk about. I just wanted to start. Every once in a while, I might do this just so you have a sense, especially if you're a first time listener or watcher. I thank you again for taking time out of your day. And before we go, I want to tell you one other thing, but hold on one second. We have to take another quick break before this show is over. And when we come back, I'll share something else with you.
Hi, my name is Anthony DePiro, and I'm an employee here at Sabatino Mastrocola Insurance Agency, where I've worked for about 6 years. Our agency is a full-service agency. We specialize in auto, home, flood, life, and other insurance needs. We have a registry running service. We offer professional claim assistance, and many other things that will help you throughout the process of getting new insurance. I mainly specialize in commercial insurance, such as apartments, restaurants, offices, contractors, retail, and things of that nature. But the rest of the team here also specializes in home, auto, and other lines. We merged with Mastrocola Insurance about 2 years ago, and we're proud to house them here at 519 Broadway along with our office, and we all work together to service your needs. Stop by anytime here at 519 Broadway, or give us a call at 617-387-7466, or visit our website www.sabatino-ins.com.
Thank you. Before we close out, I just want to say, if you enjoy RGB Internet Radio, if you're enjoying this show, on Monday nights, you can also watch Talk Time with Robert G. Brown. And he it covers national, international, local, and regional news and topics that you might be concerned about. He brings up what everyone's talking about. And so on Monday nights at 8 o'clock, you can watch or listen to Robert Brown with Talk Time. On Saturdays from 5 to 7, Saturdays is oldies but goodies day, but from 5 to 7, DJ Bobby B will play your favorite oldies but goodies. You can actually call in or email in your song requests and hear them on Saturdays from 5 to 7 with DJ Bobby B. On Sunday mornings, you can get your praise on before you leave for church and your worship service from 6:30 to 8:30 a.m. It's Sunday Morning Glory with Bishop Robert G. Brown. And so you can, and again, you can send in song requests, you can call in and make a request. But Sunday Morning Glory, I'm telling you, you will have a hallelujah good time. And of course, every Thursday evening from 7:30 to 8:30, it's me, Regina Shearer, with the Winning Women Talk Show. Next week, we're going to have a live guest. I hope you will join us. And thank you for spending time with us this evening. Have a great, great weekend. And remember, love somebody. We're out of here. Bye.